Exceptions. All right, so we're going to look at exceptions in Python, which is when your program crashes due to a runtime error. We technically don't say it crashes, it raises an exception. So for example, if I were to run a program that simply said print 1 over 0, when that runs, it crashes with a division by 0 error. But to be more precise, it raises a division by 0 or 0 division error exception. If you have an unhandled exception, then your program crashes and prints out the stack trace. But you can handle these exceptions. For example, you can try to open a file, and if the file is not, if you don't have like read access or write access to the file, you can catch that error and then tell the user, it appears I can't read the file or can't open the file, as opposed to just crashing. Crashing in general is not acceptable. It's not okay for programs to cease operations because something unexpected went wrong. So how do we do that? Well, you can do the following. Let's actually make a little program here. We will say, or a little snippet, we'll say n equals input of enter a number. Okay, and print 5 over n equals 5 over n. Okay, so now if I run this, enter a number, I'll do 3 and int and stir. Because input, of course, is a stir, we'll turn it now into an int. And now I run enter number 3. 5 over 3 is, that's not surprising. Enter number 2, that's not surprising. Enter number 0, crash, because we divided by 0. So now, what I should do is this. I should say if n is 0, then print we cannot divide by 0, else. And now when I run this and enter 0, we cannot divide by 0. That's the graceful way. There is another way to do this though, and it is as such. And what we'll do here is we will try to print that, except we'll go ahead and print egads, something went wrong. And when we run this now, I divide by 3, it works, and divided by 0, we caught it. Egad, something went wrong. We did not crash. We kept running. We divided by 0, but we did not crash, because what try says to do is try to run this code. Do whatever it's going to do, except if an exception is raised, stop running the code wherever the exception occurred, and land inside here and run my exception code. And then just keep going like everything's just fine, thank you very much. That's how try and except works. Looking at this example here, so we print out some statement, we get inside the try, we'll run this for sure, we'll say here we are just before the error. Now we want to print 1 over 0 equals, but that won't happen. Because this raises a 1 over 0 and division by 0 exception, that's it for the try block. In other words, this line here, which says it will never run, is telling the truth. It will never run because this line raised the exception, which drops us into the except block. This body here then gets executed and says we just caught an error. And then, because we caught the exception, we continue as though nothing went wrong, which means that this line will also execute. And we see all this happen right here. Here's our lead line. Here we are just before the error. That's this line here. And then right here, we caught an error. So this line tried but failed to execute, kicked into our except body, which then said we caught an error. And then everything's normal again, and we continue on our merry way. You could totally imagine it'd be like try to open a file, except print out, I couldn't open that file, and then keep running your program. Try to read from this website, except wasn't able to read from the website. So why should we use try and except? And the answer is use try and except when there's no other good way to deal with the error. In other words, this example, while it is showing try and except, is a terrible example because for sure we should deal with this error some other way. I mean, this particular case is kind of silly, right? And we're hard coding the error directly in. But the other case we had where we had the code right here, This is also not a great use because naturally I shouldn't have a try and except at all here, but instead I again should have tested if n is 0 and print forget 0, whatever, and else. This is a cleaner way to do this. Still doesn't crash. So try and except should be used prudently and only occasionally. And I should also point out that there's a lot more to try and except. And in the past, we actually taught a lot more about it. Here's some notes, and there's a lot here that you can talk about, read about, including the online notes, although these are Python 2 notes. There's a lot that you can do with try and except. It's better for this point in this class that you only worry about try and except in this form. Try something, except if an error occurred, land in here. And then do not use try and except when a simple conditional would suffice. In that case, use the conditional.